Some people stay in the muck.
Yeah.
They never leave.
Right.
Some people go into the muck. They get what they need, and then they grow.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And we know a lot of people. I know a lot of people who they don't leave the dirt.
Yeah.
But once one learns how to use the dirt, it becomes a game changer.
Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Who Can Relate. If you're watching, yes, I am forever moving surroundings. We're actually in my house. Just again, trying not to skip a week. If you guys are listening, thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a great one. I got a very, very important special guest, and you guys will find out why. So before I intro him, let me give you guys his bio, which is a hefty one. We just said before we started rolling, I thought I had lived a good life in like a very interesting life. So allow me to go over Branden's bio. So in 2002, Branden was broke, homeless, a high school dropout, and destined for either prison or death. Instead, he made the powerful decision to change his life and also his heart. So he created a high-performance gym in Las Vegas. He became an internationally renowned performance coach, endorsed by huge brands, receiving a master's in positivity psychology from UPenn. And he walked away from it all, however. From 2016 to 2020, he lived in Peru, Bali, Thailand, and India. That's insane. Good for you, bro. Okay. Where he dove deep into the study of yoga, the indigenous plant medicine, osteo-Thai massage, and Muay Thai kickboxing. 2018, he was chosen by the Indian government as the U.S. ambassador of yoga, spending 10 days in Kerala, India, learning about yoga and its origins. He collaborated with Nike to launch the Nike Yoga, which is Nike's first yoga-inspired performance apparel. He also co-created the first comprehensive yoga program of Nike on the Training Club app. Incredible. 2017, he launched Warrior Retreats. This is super dope. A 16-day physical and spiritual rite of passage for leaders in Peru. It's beautiful. He also works as a global director for the Tropical Pathology and Infectious Disease Association, a humanitarian nonprofit based in Peru that helps minority students get into medical school. It's dope. In 2020, Branden became one of the founding experts for Minded, the first digital emotional platform that is rooted in amplifying emotional well-being and human pathos. That has to be the most interesting, most accomplishing bio I think I've ever read. And without further ado, Mr. Branden Collinsworth.
What's up, brother?
Welcome to the show, man.
So honored to finally be here.
Yes, it is an honor and a pleasure and a privilege, man. We've been talking about this for a while.
We have.
And it's one of those things where you and I could probably talk about a million things. Yeah. But it was one of those like, what is calling, more importantly, what is needed.
Absolutely.
And I think today's episode, which I'm entitling Man in the Mirror.
Which is such a mic drop.
Yeah, right. It's so fitting. So obviously, again, I just read the bio, which is incredible. Anything you want to add or any more background to it?
Yeah. The journey never ends.
Literally.
The journey never ends.
Yeah.
And like the further I travel on the journey, the more I realize that I'm always supposed to be a student.
Yeah.
The more I realize what I don't know. And I think that's what continues to allow me to step into the realms of possibility. Sure. Is knowing what I don't know. Embodying this concept called Shoshin. Okay. Which means beginner's mind in Zen Buddhism.
Wow. I love it. Shoshin.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So again, the episode is Man in the Mirror. And this was sparked because as you and I, we have a lot of things in common. One of the main things is we're very open and vocal about our individual journeys. Yeah. To become the best versions of ourselves, to live in purpose and to see it through. Mm-hmm. And so I want to really dive into that. I want to talk about the process. I want to talk about the ups, the downs, and everything in between. I have said on this show a couple times the phrase, when the work works. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening and or watching, this is the man who created that phrase, when the work works. Tell me how and why you came up with that.
You know, just pulling myself from abysmal poverty to where I'm at now, I had to lean into a deep process of putting in the work.
Sure.
You know, the secret wasn't going to get me to where I needed to be. Just visualizing success, visualizing the goals wasn't going to be enough. I had to put in the time. And what I started seeing time and time again is that we are given exactly what we give. You put in the work's going to work. And that's kind of been a mantra of mine as I've walked this path. It's like, I know that everything in my world could be falling apart. But if I lean into action, tapas, they call it in yoga, discipline. Okay. Like intentional discipline backed with some fire, stuff's going to change. It can't help but change.
Right. I was going to say, it doesn't have a choice.
And so that work really works when it gets intentional. Work can be frivolous if there's no direction, but it's when we focus our energy, that drishti, that focal point, that's when it becomes a game changer.
So, which all sounds amazing in theory. How long would you say did it take you to really have that kind of mindset, right? Because you just you're not born with it. Nah. And even if you are, you can lose it, right? So how long does it really take to just lock in and maintain that?
Absolutely. Great question. You know, there's a quote that I love, and it says that sometimes it takes 10 years of setbacks, 10 years of adversity, 10 years of nothing going right to get to that 1 year that will change your life. Yeah. You know, I wish I could say that I just started working and it changed. It took at least a decade of putting in time before I even got to like average. I was like so far behind growing up on the streets that when I made that intention to change it when I was 18, it wasn't until like 29 years old that all of a sudden I got to like, okay, you got enough money to like really make it. Sure. Or to like be okay, to be good.
That's powerful, man. I'm just sitting here thinking so my journey began, I want to say 2017, early, like February. And so we are 4 years in, and I do feel like I have so much more to go. You know, I'm definitely better than where I was. And I love the progression that I've seen, but I do feel like I have at least 6 years left kind of thing, you know? So it's just like one of those things where I'm like, but just wait, just keep waiting, just keep waiting. You know what I mean? I constantly remind Shay, but you know, when the work does work, there is very little that can compare to that feeling.
100%.
You know, for me, it was getting clarity for confusion, getting solutions for issues, getting answers to questions consistently. That ultimately, I think, was the root of my why I keep going. Not why I want it, why I started, but why I continue to put the work in, because I see it working. Without those results, it's difficult to stay on the path.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about when you don't have those results again, and there's a rainy day. So when the work doesn't work, right?
Right.
Let's talk about some of that.
So if we take it into an overarching concept, the work always works.
Okay. There's no such thing as a loss, always a lesson.
Yes, okay. Exactly. In the long run, it'll always work. Yeah. The detours, the setbacks, the challenges, those are a part of the work as well. Yeah. If it wasn't for Michael Jordan missing all those shots, if it wasn't for Muhammad Ali getting his belt stripped, if it wasn't for Nelson Mandela getting locked up, they wouldn't have been catalyzed into their potential. So sometimes the work unfolds in a way that's very robust and energized and positive. In other ways, we're pushed into, and I think we talked about it, this concept called the Negrado. Yes. The Negrado in alchemy, which they call the blackening. We're pushed into the shadow work where we have to go inside and we have to do that inner work, which is not normally celebrated by society. It's sticky, it's messy, it's mucky, it's dirty. But that inevitably becomes the soil, the nutrients to grow us into who we're supposed to be. So the work is always working, even if it doesn't seem like it's working.
Wow. That I kind of just translate to, even like you said, the soil, right? And the root of it all. And you have to maintain that soil. Yeah. You have to water it, you have to feed it. Yep. And it's important to be gentle with that soil, right? It's important to be gentle with yourself, to forgive yourself. I was talking to a friend recently, and I said, isn't it crazy how much of a pass we give to our friends, mainly to our family, right? But we can't give that same pass to ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves all the time. We're our worst critic. No one cares more than us, and we can beat ourselves up. Yeah. And that's, again, something that will be an overall discussion today, is continuing to not stop doing the work, even on the rainy days. So when the work doesn't work, you have to remind yourself that it's still working.
Yes.
Nothing is a loss. Everything is a lesson. Let's talk about relationships for a second, right? Because for me, the work never worked. Let me rephrase that. I didn't consistently put in the work to even see it come to fruition, right? Obviously, that's all changed now. And I have a couple quotes here from Inky Johnson, and then again, we'll get into the relationship side of things. But he said, "Don't waste experiences that don't turn out the way you want them to go. There's always a seed of good." Bro, you know how many times I would try to force a situation, whether it was ego, pride, stubbornness. I'm like, no, this is going to work. No, this has to work. And I used to just, when I realized it wasn't working, I would just throw the whole situation away in my mind and not grab those lessons that are so prevalent and necessary for where I am now in the future. Another quote he has is, this is great. "The ability to learn and grow is a gift, even when pain is our teacher."
Yeah.
Well, pain hurts, Mr. Inky Johnson. Pain hurts, man. No one wants to sit in discomfort. Nobody wants to sit in pain. No one wants to sit in regret. No one wants to sit in self-doubt. But as I've said here before, growth and comfort cannot coexist. The only way you're going to grow is to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So let's, again, go into the relationship side of things. When the work, quote unquote, doesn't work, what then?
Yeah. I think when one is intentional and on the path, it is always working. One is always analyzing. One is always going into those spaces, seeking for lessons.
Yes.
You know, martial arts for me parallels life in a very powerful way. You can read all the books on love you want. Yeah. Women are from Venus, or men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Yeah. You can know all 10 love languages. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's not until you get into the dojo, into the ring of a relationship, that you're going to see where you're weak and where you're strong. And that can be super revealing. And it can be super humbling, and it can be super uncomfortable, you know, like, but it takes courage to step into the ring. And so it's a real testament of one's character to be able to step into those spaces, even if maybe their tools are not all the way cultivated. And if they're intentional, they're going to see real quick where they need to continue to put in the work. Sure. You know, like I had about a 9-year gap between relationships. I'm really good at being single. I'm great at being single, traveling the world, doing my thing. Sure. And after that 9-year gap, it was 2 years in a row, relationships. And when I got into those relationships, I thought I had a lot of tools. And I learned really quickly that there were still places that I need to work. And it really was a testament, like for me, to be able to see the growth happen so quickly, to be able to go into those spaces, say, all right, B, you got some spaces you need to grow, some spaces you need to change. And then get out of that, assess, get back into it again, go through the metaphorical training in the dojo. The work is working. And I can't wait to step back into that space again. You know, win or lose, we're always winning. Wow.
I love that. I know we talked about this before, about how it's one thing to just get some shots up in the gym by yourself when no one's looking. You know, hey man, you should have seen I made 13 in a row, and they're like, okay, cool, let's see. I'll put you in the game. You know, and then the game, the lights are brighter, the pressure's on. And it's one thing. I had an episode last week about therapy, and I said, you know, I referenced therapy at times to like training wheels. You know, and you can ride on the training wheels for so long. You can go to therapy for so long that you're scared to take off the training wheels and get out there and actually see what is this work working. And that's important to really hone in on. Is like, you don't have to be quote unquote perfect to enter a relationship. And matter of fact, you kind of shouldn't be, in my opinion, because then it's like, well, where's your room to help mold with the partner that you're with? Like, where do they then fit into your life? How can they complement? So it's interesting. And also just to take that lesson of, even if the work doesn't work, like you said, in ways it is still working. And back to that quote of, don't waste your experiences that don't turn out the way that you want them to go. Just because you saw this going one way and it's not going that way, how can we still find lessons in here? So what would you say as far as, because I've been asking myself this for years now, what would you say as far as knowing when to leave, right? Like knowing when to say, okay, you know what? I've put in enough work here. I believe I won't have any regret necessarily leaving a situation. What would you say is a good sign of like, okay, you know what? This is no longer serving me. It's time to go.
There's been so many times that I've stayed in a situation a lot longer than I was supposed to.
Yeah.
And then the universe ends up getting involved in and just kicking me out.
Kind of shifting you around it. Yeah.
Exactly. I think the power of knowing oneself, the power of having self-worth, the power of doing the work is that you start to become much more intuitive when it's time to make those moves. And that's really the testament of the big movers and shakers of our world is they make a decision. They're very discerning. And when it's time to go, it's time to go. Yeah. And that takes a lot of trust. Yeah. But once again, you go into the dojo, you build up those skills of intuition, of trust in oneself, trust in one's tools, trust in one's work. Yeah. And then when it's time to make that decision, one knows. Yeah. And I'm still a work in progress in that space, but I could say at 36 years old, I'm getting better and better at being discerning. Yeah, and identifying it, and whether it's the issue, the solution, or just the time. Exactly. You know, when it's time to go. So you had a great Bruce Lee quote that was very fitting for what we're talking about. I want you to let the people know. So Bruce Lee said, "Absorb what is useful, discard what is not, and add what is uniquely your own." And it was really a testament of creating your own style. Yeah. But the only way to develop one's style, one's superpowers, is to do the work. Yeah. To get out there, to be tested, to figure out what works for you. Because, you know, what works for me might not be the same thing that works for you. Sure. There's not one right way to do this game. There's not one right way to be successful in relationships, to be successful in life. Yeah. So we got to find what is in resonance with us. Because if it's not, how can we keep it up? Yeah. And the way I have kind of found it, I'm sure you could relate to it, is through failure. Yeah. Way more than success. 100%. It was way more than success. And I used to think it was the opposite. And failure taught me, God, 95% of I think of what I know. The other 5% just came probably by luck. But it was all failure. And it was taking, again, those lessons, not losses, and turning them into hard reality sometime. You know, again, that look in the mirror was like, oh man, it maybe it is me, you know, kind of thing. So moving on into this is what I used to struggle with wholeheartedly in relationships. Finding the balance of, okay, I've been working on myself now. I know my self-worth. I know my value system. I know what I need for self-love. And then getting into a new relationship, how do you find the balance of maintaining your routine, maintaining your system that you've incorporated into your life, and then balancing that with a new partner? It's a great question. And that's actually one of my biggest areas of growth. Okay. You know, I'm such a people person. Yeah. I love putting people on. I love making people happy. And when I get in love situations in the past, many times, I've gone so all in on all in. One of my other quotes that I live by, that I actually, some of my systems, my mental models start to collapse. So one of my biggest lessons as of late is like when stepping into new spaces, it's so important for us to make sure that we're good first. Yeah. So that we can maintain the frequency that attracted the person in the first place. Because if all of a sudden that falls apart, then they're not with the person that they initially met. Sure. They didn't sign up for that. Exactly. That version. Exactly. Yeah, totally. Wow. So how would you say, or rather, what would you say is the overall structure that you're trying to build to not repeat that? You know, I look up to a lot of the greats and I study a lot of the greats. Muhammad Ali is my spiritual OG big brother. You know, Bruce Lee, Tupac. Yeah. Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, all of these guys, and they had incredible teams around them. You know, the thing about America is we're in this individualistic society, and a lot of men think they need to do it all on their own. And there's been a lot of times I've even got caught up in that. Sure. But when I flourish in the best way possible is when I'm surrounded by a team, not of a team of yes men,
right,
but a team of objectivity that looks at me and says, B, yo, you're slipping.
Yeah.
Yo, you're not showing up in the right way. You're
right.
not holding down the values that say you're supposed to be standing for. And what I've, as of late, been leaning into more is building my team, because I see myself in one way and everybody else sees me in a different way.
Sure.
Whatever their worldview is, whatever perceptions they may have. But building an intentional team around me that knows my vision, knows my intention, and is holding me to a standard of who it is that I want to become is everything. What do I want? I want epic love. Right. I want epic impact. I want to, be of epic service. Yeah. And when we declare things like that and we have a team around us that won't let us deviate from that, then the growth becomes undeniable. And even in the failure becomes powerful, because when the failures happen, we course correct, we go into the lab, we look at what went wrong, we make the changes, and then we level up. Once again, stepping into the dojo, until you get punched, you're not going to learn to slip that jab the next time.
Right. Duck and weave. Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
That's beautiful, man. I for so many reasons. The first thing I'll piggyback off of that is it's so huge that as a man, you were able to ask for help.
Yeah.
A lot of men struggle with that. I had an episode with my boy Troy, Positive Tragedy, and we talked about how just because you have to ask for help, it doesn't mean you failed. It means you're not alone.
Right.
Lean on, use in the best way possible the people who do love you, who do support you, who do want to see you be great, and say, hey, look, I don't need you here as a yes man. I need you here really as accountability partners.
Yep.
Please hold me accountable. You know where I want to go. You see where I'm at. You know what's going to take to get there. I need some help with some guidance. That's super powerful. And I think all men should definitely be taking notes on that. All people, but especially men, because again, our ego and pride is on another level. The other thing that you said that's important is you realize you can't go about it alone. One person cannot be your entire village.
Right.
They just can't.
Right.
They literally cannot. Bless their heart, no matter how much they try, no matter how much they know or think they know, one person cannot be your entire village. And it does take a village. It does take a team to be successful. Yeah. Anyone, like you said, of the greats that you look up to, that I look up to, people look up to, they are not doing that alone.
Right.
The only person that's doing things alone is your boy with this podcast.
Not for long.
No. But I have obviously my wife helps, and every time I have a guest on. But no, it's important to understand that, and the beauty of being able to take constructive criticism is a testament to who the person is receiving that constructive criticism, to not getting defensive and pointing the finger at everybody else. And like you said, America, especially in this individualistic, whole society, whole idea that I'm going to do it alone. It looks better alone. It looks cooler if I do it alone. It looks cool if I don't ask for help, is just played out in plain English. It's just played out.
Antiquated.
Yeah. And it's time to switch it up. And again, people know by now, I know you know too, but my whole idea of vulnerability is going to look different for men. I'm trying to make it look cool. I'm trying to let them know vulnerability is actually sexy.
Yeah.
It's one of the most, it's the sexiest thing a man can offer. We always ask, or say women, for them it's confidence, right? But for us, it's vulnerability. It's being able to ask for help as well. It's a huge thing.
It's so important.
Yeah.
To be vulnerable and to be open. It's powerful. The movie 300 is an incredible example if people look deeper into the power of vulnerability, and just
see past the six packs.
Like Leonidas, in the end, he didn't say G Unit when he was about to die. He said, my wife, my love, my queen. The whole entire movie was this strong man in his relationship with his queen, and him literally, going on this path of war for love. So I have this incredible mentor. His name's Dr. Mahalan.
Okay.
We call him Morpheus. I met him when I was in the community college, back in 2003. I walked in his classroom. He was cross-legged, sitting in the middle of his classroom. I was like, it was a brother. He looked like us. I was like, okay,
this is different.
This is different. So he started to mentor me. And for the last 20 years, he's been a mentor.
Okay.
Once or twice a year, we talk. And he always gives me kind of like exactly what I need at that moment. Yeah. So 2 years ago, I was in Peru going through a breakup, a woman that I loved. And I'm like distraught. I'm like, yo, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. How did I lose this one? And he just all of a sudden interrupts me. And he's like, you ever tasted an orange? And I said,
like, bro, did you hear what I said? I'm going through a breakup. I'm not hungry.
Yeah. I said, yeah, I've tasted an orange. You know, it's amazing. He said, it is, isn't it? And then he's like, you ever think about the process of a seed becoming an orange? And I was like, no. He's like, the very fact that you take this seed and you place it in the dirt where there's no light and you put manure over it, and then all of a sudden it goes through this crazy process of sprouting and then pushing through the ground, and then all of a sudden growing into a small tree, and then it becomes this massive tree, and all of a sudden the final product is this beautiful piece of fruit that tastes amazing and that is incredibly beautiful. And he says, you think that the same hand that is behind the design of an orange is not also controlling everything that's behind you? Wow. He said, trust. And I was like, oh man, wow. Like that is that's hard to do right now. But at that moment, it started to really help me understand that the rainstorms are necessary. Sure. The manure is necessary. The process is necessary. Yeah. Oftentimes in our society, we only romanticize the end product. We only romanticize the orange. We don't celebrate the sproutling. We don't celebrate the seed. We don't celebrate the seed actually going into the mud. But the whole entire process is beautiful. And more importantly than that, the whole entire process is on time. So many people want to level skip, you know, Game Genie, back, forward, left, square, R2, L2, and some cheat codes. And it doesn't happen like that. And one concept that came up as we were talking was like, we got to earn the success, but we also got to earn the failure. Wow. Meaning like to be able to get to that space where you actually fail into growth takes courage. To get to that space where Jordan pulled up and took that game-winning shot and missed it, he had to earn the opportunity to get to that position. Yeah, society doesn't like to celebrate that, but that right there is just as important a part of the evolution of the seed to the inevitable orange as it is for our own potential.
Processing, that is it's a whole gem. I'm trying to let it marinate. And I'm just reflecting on my own stuff, as I'm sure everyone listening or watching is right now. I mean, let's take the time to really sit in thought and just understand that even your failure at that moment is still a success. Think about how far you came and what it took to get you to the point of failure. Yeah. Wow.
And it's in that moment, you know, obviously we are given the power of free will. Sure. And the conscious path is in those spaces of failure, then making big decisions that bring you back into alignment with that goal, that vision, that highest expression that one is calling it. Yeah. So some people stay in the muck. Yeah. They never leave. Right. Some people go into the muck. They get what they need, and then they grow. Yeah. And that's the difference. And we know a lot of people. I know a lot of people who they don't leave the dirt. Yeah. But once one learns how to use the dirt, it becomes a game changer.
Bro, that's so good. When someone knows how to use the dirt, wow. It's that soil.
It's that soil.
It's back to that. One of my friends' dad, he has this great analogy. He says, when you go to a park, just picture an open field. You can sit wherever you want. It's a sunny day. You could either see someone throwing a baseball or frisbee, you go join them, you're walking your dog, you sit down, smell the flowers, etc. Or you can go and literally sit next to the pile of dog poop and you just smell it, rub your face in it, whatever it takes, but you chose to sit out of all the places you can go in the park, out of all the things you could do in the park, you chose to go sit next to the dog poop and just spend the rest of your day like that. That all full circle, I'm referring to just life in general. Yeah. call it a glass half full analogy, however you want to look at it. You can either go to the Life's Park and just sit next to the dog poop, or you can go and try to spend time in other areas of the park that will help you on your journey.
It's like so there's a prolific, I think he's like a channeler, intuitive channeler, Paul Selig.
Oh yeah, sounds familiar. Yeah.
And he was talking about there's two ways to go through any lesson. You can go through one that is of high vibration, where you are approaching it from a space of like openness, abundance, acquisitiveness, or you can go through it from a space of like very low vibration. Both get you to the same place,
right?
Hopefully,
yeah.
But two different experiences getting there.
Sure.
And I think the path of going through these initiations and putting in the work is to attune oneself to a higher vibrational path to the outcome rather than those lower vibrations. Because before I cultivated my tools, I was falling down a whole lot. Yeah. Learning like lessons where my whole world gets annihilated or I lose everything. Sure. And now it's about being more calculated. I think that's the sign of maturity. That's the sign of being a chief. Yeah. Is you're calculated with your execution rather than just spontaneously.
Well, and there's nothing worse than having to learn these lessons by burning bridges. Right. There's nothing worse than having to learn these lessons by literally completely hitting rock bottom. Right. It doesn't need to get to that point. Well, it did for me. Often, very often, man. I burned bridge after burned bridge, failed relationship after failed relationship, hitting rock bottom a couple times. And whether that's just because of my stubbornness, my pride, my ego, my lack of being vulnerable, my lack of asking for help, all the above, it just translated into just the repeated vicious cycle. And when you sit down and you think about it, you're like, there were so many hands that were given out along the way. You know, there were so many paths you could have taken. Right. And I hope rather that anyone out there listening or watching, like, just know you don't have to hit rock bottom to make a change. Right. You shouldn't want to, because it's going to cause scars, and not just with yourself, maybe for your partner. It's going to cause scars with your family, with your friends. And some people, as you said, they just stay in the muck. Some people, depending on the severity of the scar, the severity of the rock bottom, can't make it back out. Right. So,
truth. Yeah. I've been there a couple times as well.
And easier said than done. Right. I mean, here we are sitting, you know, on the outside, kind of looking in, so to speak. But it takes one to know one. Yeah. You know, it takes us going through our experiences. I mean, you were homeless at one point. I was in and out of couch surfing at one point, counting change at another point. I mean, we've had our own life experiences to know that what we're talking about is personal experiences. We wish we had something, you know, come, hey, Branden, why don't you come this way? I just show you something different. You know, hey Justin, I got something for you, man. Like, God, I wish. And here's the thing, maybe we did. We just were stuck in the muck. Maybe we sat next to the dog poop in the park.
We were smelling it. And then we realized, no more dog poop.
Exactly.
It's time to move.
So I want to transition into your basically motto for life, your mission statement, correct me if I'm wrong, which is love. Mm-hmm. Remind me of your one line about love. What do you say? What do you your mission is love?
Love is my mission.
Love is your mission.
Yeah. Changed my life.
Let's talk about that.
Once that phrase came front and center.
Yeah.
So everything I went through, from the streets to success, to walking away from my success, getting put back on the streets, was a journey of love. Yeah. It was a love story. And growing up, I didn't look at, like, I learned about love in a way that was like sparkly and glittery.
Me too.
And yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize like the magnitude of love, the complexity of love, the power of love, how love is alchemical, and love is the one thing, cross culture, doesn't matter who it is, whatever religion it is, doesn't matter what philosophy it is, everybody talks about love being the central theme. Yeah. So I found myself in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 2019, about ready to do my Warrior Retreats number 5. Okay. And at that time, I was going through a breakup. This woman named Alex, who is an incredible yogi, master teacher. We were together for about a year, long distance, and she decided to walk away.
Okay.
And she walked away because I was very caught up in my ego at that time. I was very caught up in who I was. You know, I'm Nike master trainer. I'm this, I'm traveling the world. Yeah. And when you meet a real one, none of the materialism means anything. They just want to be seen and they want you to show up. You know what I'm talking about.
Come to find out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So she walked away from me. And at that time, it was such the needed lesson. But I found myself solo in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, by myself, looking at another sunset by myself, you know, and I asked myself a big question. I said, what is this all for? Why am I on this earth? What am I trying to pursue? You know, what is the success for? What is the accolades for? What are the books for? What is the teachings for? Yeah. What is the one thing that all of us want more than anything? Yeah. And there's been a couple times in my life where I had this like divine whisper just come through me, and it was like, you're looking for love. Wow. And at that moment, I thought to myself, what is a mission that's so big that I probably will never be able to even not only achieve it, but understand a fraction of it. And love became that mission. So love is my mission, is like not just on some superficial Valentine's Day stuff. It's like, I want to understand this concept that has catalyzed this entire planet forward, that every ancient teaching talks about. I want to understand what deep self-love looks like within inside me. I want to understand what deep compassion looks like for other people. I want to understand what love looks like when you bring a life into this world, the many facets of love. And so love became my mission. And as soon as I declared that mission, everything changed. It's like when we really declare a mission, we're held accountable to that mission. Right. And as soon as I declared that mission, it was like the universe was like, oh, you want to be about love, bro? All right, let's see if you're really about this mission. There's been a few times where I was like, I don't want to be about that mission anymore, because all of a sudden these challenges start coming my way. And it's like easy to be like, you know what, I need to slide that mission off to the side for a second. Right. So what I love most about that mission is that it's not something that you can materialize. Right. It's not something that you can quantify. You can't put it in an Excel spreadsheet or you can't trade it. It's love. Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier, when you talked about normalizing vulnerability for men, I think that me being able to grab onto that and still keep my swagger, keep my manliness, keep who I am, keep it hip hop. You know what I mean? It allows people to digest love a little bit differently. Yeah. A lot of my brothers who are on the path, who have had these walls up for so long, when they see like guys that are strong, that are embodying these softer concepts, like love and compassion and vulnerability and stuff like that, it opens up the doorways for them to do it as well. And what we need more than anything in this world is men who are actually moving consciously, that are taking notes and lessons from the collective feminine, who just naturally are rooted in that set point of love much more easier than us men.
And moving with good intentions.
Exactly.
Especially when it comes to the love department. I think a lot of times, as Lauryn Hill says, it could all be so simple. Right. But you'd rather make it hard. Yeah. You're right. Right. Let's sit with that for a second, And that line is important, because for men, women, I know that they can take their accountability where it's needed in this department. But right now it's two men sitting, with each other having this conversation. So let's take some accountability. So when we overcomplicate things, because we can as well, whether it's a lack of understanding of our emotions, it's a lack of finding ways to articulate how we feel, right, as opposed to just showing anger, right? As I said recently, that's the easiest emotion to show for men. Or quitting. Yeah. Just quitting, with no explanation, just throwing in the towel because it got too hard. Yeah. I was doing a lot of that. And interesting enough that you said, love is your mission. I always had a strange relationship with the word love. Always. From childhood, from romantic relationships. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't have a definition for the word love. because everyone has a different definition, right? There's no one size fits all for a lot of what we're talking about. Definitely not for love. And God, the universe, all the higher powers that be, heard me say, you know what? I'm about this love mission too. I don't know what it is, but I think I'm about that life.
Yeah.
At least I want to start to find out, right? Just being real. This is facts. Okay.
I'm about that life.
Yeah. I'm about that life. And, what happened was, I was gifted this beautiful light, this incredible being, this incredible energy, the greatest thing that ever happened to me outside of my daughter and my wife. And when she was delivered to me, it scared the hell out of me.
Wow.
I mean, scared the hell out of me, because I knew that this is all that I had been manifesting. I knew, it's like, be careful what you wish for. Like, you said you wanted love, right, Jay? Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. Here's Shay.
Right.
Oh, well,
right.
No.
Right.
Go ahead. You asked, right? You asked for this? Go ahead. And, when I finally realized that Shay was the one, what's really interesting is, she has a tattoo on her inner arm that says love.
Wow.
And I remember, I never told this story, but I remember when I first saw that, when like you get a sign or you get something that's just like, this is exactly meant for me to see this, hear it, receive it at this particular time.
Yeah.
When I saw her tattoo said love, I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Like, this is it. in its living, breathing form, this is it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But when I say I was scared as hell, I mean I was scared to fail. I was scared to, let me take it back. Even before failing, being scared of that, bro, I was scared to try.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
I was scared to try. I was scared to try love. I was scared to be at the age that I was at and be in where I was in my life, to really expose myself, to be subjected to possibly failure.
Right.
And once we went through our muck, I went through my mud. And once I realized that the mud and the muck and the dirt is the exact soil I needed to just lay my feet in, like grounding. I know you know what grounding is.
Yeah.
When I was grounding in this soil of love, of my wife, bro, I can't tell you how many times I have been tempted in our relationship, and she'll send me a text, or she'll call. She'll just show up, and it's a reminder, like, don't ever mess this up.
Ever.
Don't ever mess this up. Again, a lot of stuff I'm telling you, man,
right.
I've never told her. I'll tell her before I edit this and put it out to the world out of respect for her. But it's real, man. And I bring all this up. I have no problem being vulnerable and transparent. And I bring all this up because if there's a lot of people out here who are going through similar situations and what we're talking about, and that word love for me, which I ultimately try to bring it full circle here in saying, Shay taught me what that word love means.
Of course.
But it's something that is extremely important to me now more than ever, that word love. So that was not scripted. I guess I needed to get that out, but
it's powerful.
But thank you.
Yeah.
And hearing what you want for love, it just resonated with me, and it just, kind of out of body experience right now. But that's when I always, I joke sometimes when I'm filming with Shay and I say, you saved me from the streets and thank you and all that stuff. But when I say thank you to her, it's hard to put the meaning behind thank you. It's hard to even put the meaning behind when I tell her I love her, because it's just deeper than I can, to this day, right now as it stands, it's deeper than I can ever explain.
Yeah.
I hope she knows it. I think she does it. And I know she feels it. But yeah, moving on, and this is because I'll just talk all day. But I want to go into finding the right partner to be on that journey with you. And this is your quote. You said, "Being with someone who can see you at your best, but love you at your worst."
Yeah. So important.
Man.
And hard to find.
Extremely. Yeah.
And I've yet to find that.
Yeah.
I've been in some situations where there were remnants of that.
Yeah.
But what I'm learning, once again, you said that just a second ago, that one of the most important things is not quitting.
Yeah.
In the space of love.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy in our society to just move on to that next option, because there's so many options out there.
And we think the grass is greener.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really in the work. Once again, the work works not only individually,
right,
but dyadically when we're in relationships like that. So it's like in a space of, deep partnership, I think that when you got two people that are both intentionalizing and growing and on that path of growth, I think that is undeniable that two people are going to be able to grow deeper together. Yeah. But inevitably, stuff's going to come up. Yeah. And to take that quote a little deeper, it's like somebody sent me something one time and it said, "I've seen you at your worst. Yeah. And I still think you're the best." So it's like, wow, especially for a guy like me who's kind of like on a platform and people look to for positivity and to be like on all the time, energized. Today's the day, all in on all in. Let's go. Like hold that positivity. As a human, when I'm down, you know what I mean? That is a very normal part of being human. Sure. You got to have somebody that can see you in those spaces and still see the magic. And I got some friends in my life that do that. Yeah. They're holding me when I'm completely a mess. Yeah. And there's no drop in like, "I love you, B, and I still see you." And also what I've learned in this space of vulnerability is letting myself be seen at my worst. Yeah. Actually deepens those relationships and allows me to bounce back further into who it is I'm supposed to be. Partnership sometimes, if it's healthy. Yeah. I believe in, you have a lot more experience in this space being married, but to be able to be in a partnership where your worst can be seen, worked through, celebrated, up-leveled, and brought back into the light is there's nothing better than that, because it allows for one to go through the whole entire gamut of being human. Right. And not in the space
of judgment,
be judged or
fear of that they're just going to leave.
Exactly.
I'm not doing this. You don't deserve me. Type of thing. Yeah, totally. Without rejection. Right.
I've had a couple situations in the past where I went to my partner and I was like, "Yo, I'm depressed. I'm off. I'm not good," and it wasn't received well. Okay. Because of this toxic positivity, I would like to call it. It's like,
can you explain it a little bit more?
Toxic positivity is this idea that everything is supposed to be positive all the time, that where we put this happier, like happy-go-lucky, like everything's perfect, sunshines and rainbows, and we put like the Negrado or those challenging times on a lower tier. Yeah. Toxic positivity is this romantic idea that positivity is the only thing that is healthy. Right. And it discounts when we go into these spaces of going through our own internal work or our own shadow work. Whereas all of it should be celebrated. And in a healthy relationship, we can go into all those spaces and find the gems.
Yeah. So many things, man. I'll work my way backwards. The whole like good vibes only thing bothers me now. I'm gonna tell you why it bothers me. Positive vibes only. Like, I'm not saying that because, like you said, there are going to be times where things are not positive, right? And there is no magic wand or a snap of a finger or just this light switch you can turn on to make all those things positive and keep those positive vibes only. You have to dig into the toolbox, especially at those moments, to get yourself back to positive.
Right.
There is no, just again, some dust you can sprinkle over the depression, some dust you can sprinkle over, the hardships, the losses, and the lessons. So I'm not saying it anymore. It's gotta be, when the going gets tough, that's when I really roll up my sleeves.
Right. Get to work.
And I get to work.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to add was, when you allow people, in your case, you said your partner at that particular time, when you allow someone to see you at your worst, that, bro, wow, full circle here. I'm having a moment. You said, even when you fail, what it took to get to that moment of failure, right? To get to a moment where in your mind, let's say we call it failure, to expose that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I know you know, but to the people, do you know what it takes to get to that moment?
Yeah.
I think so many men fear being seen at their worst, being considered someone who doesn't have all the answers, who doesn't have a solution for this. And that fear of vulnerability.
Yeah. It's a term in the DSM in psychology. That's what they use to diagnose certain disorders. It's called normative male alexithymia.
Whoa. Let's talk about that.
Men's inability to be vulnerable, to show emotion.
It's like it's
actual disorder. Like our society has basically shut off men's ability to healthily relate their emotions. And we're at war with that. And when emotions are built up and we're doing it all alone, that is not where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be held in tribe. We're supposed to be held in community. We're supposed to be able to step forward vulnerably and be celebrated rather than shunned.
Yeah.
But what did they tell us when we were growing up? Don't be a bitch.
Yeah. Man up.
Man up. Suck it up.
Boys don't cry.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we're on the path with a lot of tools. So many people are just starting out or have no tools whatsoever, no concepts to be able to even go into these spaces. So this is why it's so important for us men to start to hold that frequency of openness and vulnerability.
Well, I know we're doing it here today. Man, bro, you said, you go to war with that. I got to sit with that, man, because that was me. War is the best word to use, and I tried to explain it to ex-partners as well, and I didn't do a good job of delivering it for sure, but it wasn't received well, and I wish I had that war word, because that's exactly how I felt. Like, I don't know how to do this. Right. I'm like fighting with myself to turn on the light switch that is so easy for you to do. Right. I can't. I hate to say the word I can't, but I'm like, I don't know how, and that's so powerful, and I think it's a message that's going to resonate with a lot of people here. And the other thing is again, I promise you, being on the other side now of vulnerability, being on the other side of transparency, being on the other side of, honey, I'm at my worst right now. Yeah. I know it doesn't look pretty. I know it doesn't look sexy to you, but I need some help.
Right. Being
on the other side of that is probably, it's up there, man, with some of the greatest feelings I've ever experienced, and to have a partner that I know I can confide in, that I know is going to help me in any way that I need her to show up. I feel like I have the greatest weapon in my arsenal. Yeah. You know, and I honestly feel that, like, I can conquer the world.
Yeah. Leonidas.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Full circle.
Yeah.
Man. Leonidas. I'm out here like, I'm going to watch 300 tonight, bro.
Look at the relationship with him and his queen, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I watched this. I'm excited to get back into it. But that's how I feel, man. It's funny, I texted my niece recently and the other week, and she's 17, to be young again, right? But I was just telling her, it was around my birthday, and I was just, she's like, how you feel and stuff, and I said, I legit feel like I can conquer the world. Yeah. I said, I really feel like one person with my wife and with my support system, I feel like I can do whatever I want to do. Right. I've never felt that before. ever. And I used to be one of the cockiest dude you'd ever meet in your life. But
me too.
but I never felt like this. And so
that's what the feminine can do for this masculine yang energy. They are a grounding force of power. They allow for us to root in, and they hold that subtle soft space, which is not weak at all. It's actually it's the strongest.
I would say it's stronger than us.
Yeah, way stronger
100%.
than us. And it allows for us to blossom.
Yeah.
And that is that's why it's so important. And that's why I cannot wait as I'm holding the space, holding the frequency, and creating the environment for that to be a part of my life as well.
100%. And for me, man, one of my final takeaways, as I always try to say, what messages do we want to leave with people? One thing I want to say, and this is a note for myself, and this is, you guys are flying the wall right now in my head. I need to do everything in my power to not block that feminine power, that feminine intellect, that feminine strength, intuition, just everything. Because in the past I would do that because of my masculine ego, my masculine pride. I used to always fear that if I didn't have the solutions, no one would in relationship. And so I just totally discounted the capability of the woman that I was with to provide some type of solution, some type of rhyme or reason, some type of, hey, what if we try this? I wouldn't even entertain that. And it's a constant reminder for me. I wouldn't say I'm at war with it, but I'm at battle with it at times where I forget that, I revert back to old ways, and I'm like, no, I have a queen now. Yeah. I have someone to delegate to and with, and I should more often type of thing. So that's one of my final takeaways. And the other thing is I have really, again, tried to make vulnerable the new sexy. I say I'm like the president of that club for men, if you will. There's like the hair club for men. I'm trying to be the president of that club. And I really hope episodes like this show men it is okay. It is cool. It is necessary. But above all, it's brave.
It's brave.
It's brave to get to this point. Like, that's kind of the umbrella it seems to be of the episode. Right. Like what it takes to get to certain moments of your life. Respect that, celebrate that, appreciate that. So any other takeaways for you? And we said a lot, man.
Going off of what you just said, one of my master teachers in Peru, John Piel, he always says, may all emperors be poets. May all emperors be poets. Meaning like, a man, for example, with all that yang energy, may they have a deep enough relationship in them with the feminine internally and externally to still be able to bring their poetry to life in a beautiful way. Right. And I agree with that as well. It's like the more I unlock those levels of vulnerability and softness is a superpower. Who knew? Who knew, bro? And grace and ease and gentleness. These things are game changers. And our world wouldn't be in the situation it was in had it kept the feminine as a guiding light rather than making it such a masculine yang force-filled world. 100%. Feminine is power, and that's what we need. We need to balance that out. And this is not just for men. It's women balancing out their own feminine and masculine energies as well, because we are both man and woman. Yes. You know what I mean? And so I think this is the day and age that we're stepping into. Standing on the shoulders of so many ancestors and giants is that as men, as women, we're able to step into these spaces, have these conscious conversations and heal not only our past, but lay the foundation for a future that's going to be absolutely incredible.
I'm here for it, bro. I'm here for it. And I'm excited to see what the future holds, especially from the men. I mean, here we are, 2021, 10 years ago. These conversations would be very difficult to find. Wasn't happening. Maybe even not even happening, right? So again, I just appreciate you for coming on and being vulnerable and transparent with everyone and sharing your message. But we're not done yet. Let's get into some light stuff. This is the round of rapid fire questions. You were not prepped for this at all. So here we go. Question number 1. If you could do anything knowing you won't fail, what would it be?
I would join SpaceX.
Okay.
I'll be flying. I would go to Mars, bro.
Yeah, right. If I can get a round trip ticket, I'm down.
Yeah, it would be round trip, but I would go to space.
That's dope. Yeah. That's dope. Okay, question number 2. Now, this is interesting enough. I can't wait to hear your answer for this. And take your time if it's going to be a while. What's one experience you've had that has changed your life?
Ooh.
I know. Take your time, bro. Take your time.
Yeah, I think one of the most profound, well, there's been many, but one of the most validating experiences I've ever had is I did ayahuasca. Yeah. And in my ayahuasca ceremony, I met this woman from Africa. Okay. And she reintroduced me to the lands of Africa and was telling me how it was once upon a time to connect with the spiritual realm and the ancestors. Yeah. Flash forward a year later, I was in Kenya. I was with the Maasai Mara warriors. I went out, I sat down and I meditated. The sun was setting. I opened my eyes up and the lady from my ayahuasca ceremony was standing there looking at me. She smiled, she nodded, and she kept walking. And wow. I'll show you this picture. That's when I knew that there was a whole nother level to this game that was being held for me. And it just was one of those things that said, Branden, keep going on your path because you are gotten. Wow. Not only do your ancestors got you, but there's a divine plan that's pushing you forward.
When was this?
This was in 2018.
Recently?
2019.
And where was your ayahuasca journey before the Africa visit?
It was in Nevada.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you met this woman in Nevada?
I met this woman in my ceremony, in my journey.
Okay. Wow.
In my ceremony, as I'm going on this vision quest, I met this. So let me go deeper.
Yes, please.
I met this in the vision quest of ayahuasca. For those that don't know, it's indigenous medicine. It's a hallucinogen, but deep wisdom flows through these ceremonies. Yeah. In the ceremony, I met this woman.
So in your head, if people are listening, in your head.
Yeah, in the vision quest.
Got it.
I met this woman who was teaching me and showing me and introducing me to like who it is I am, where it is I come from, my ancestors. And flash forward, I go to Kenya to volunteer, to work with the lands. I worked at a disabled orphanage for 2 weeks, wanted to pay homage to Africa. I finally made it to the Maasai Mara, the last real indigenous warriors of Kenya. They hunt lions. Wow. It's public circumcision. These are real warriors, brothers in arms. And after I had an opportunity to spend some time with them, I went and sat down and meditated as the sun was setting. And I opened my eyes, and the lady from my vision quest was materialized in the human form. It was her. And she just looked at me, smiled, nodded, and walked off into the sunset. And that is something that most people can't comprehend because we're not connected to that.
Yes.
But that's when I knew that there was something that was much more magical behind the scenes that was catalyzing us forward.
You know, I believe you. And I also, my oldest brother went through something very similar. And that's why I keep trying to think, like, it's maybe like the same similar story. He is like you and us combined. I mean, this cat, he's like, I have to have him on the show one day. He's the most enlightened human being I've ever met in my life.
What's his name?
Marquise.
Yeah.
He, I totally understand. I totally believe it. And I'll definitely have to see his story a little bit more because, man, that's wild.
Yeah. And once you experience things like that, it's undeniable.
Oh, totally.
We are so closed off in the West. Yeah. We're so linear with our thinking. We don't believe or see that there is worlds beyond worlds. Actually, sitting in LA, this is all sacred indigenous grounds. The Indians were in touch, but we were told that being in touch with something beyond ourselves is actually woo-woo or not good.
I know. I know. It's a whole nother episode, bro. Question number 3, which I know is the easy answer for you, but what's one motto or mantra you live by?
So many.
Okay.
But there's two.
Okay.
One is love is my mission.
Right.
The second one, which I start every day with, changes the frequency of the entire day, is today is the day. Today is the day. No matter what day it is, it's the day.
Wow.
Today is the day.
Yeah.
And that right there is a proclamation that today's a gift.
Yeah.
And that it's up to me to use my tools right.
Right.
And to forge my path and commit to love.
Yeah. Don't worry about yesterday.
Yep.
Don't worry about tomorrow. Today is the day. Man, when you have that, it's like Muhammad Ali, right? Don't count the days, make the days count.
Exactly.
When you have that mindset of just taking it to present moment right now in this moment, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's super powerful. Okay. Question number 4. Another answer I'm excited to hear. What do you want to be known for when you leave this earth? So think legacy.
Absolutely. Great question. Love. That's it.
Yeah.
And I see it unfolding.
Yeah.
It's crazy the visions that I'm given.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see it, how it's starting to unfold.
Yeah.
And I'm being groomed for it. Lots of scars, man. This path is no joke. This journey is it is no joke, man. But yeah, I want to redefine the concept of love and make it something that people really, really lean into and adopt. I want to make this world a better place, a more compassionate space. And I think, whether it's one person or thousands of people, I believe in the power of the ripple. Yeah,
absolutely. Last question. What does Branden admire most about Branden?
Great. That's a great question. Man.
Self-love, man.
What's up, B? I love you.
Self-love.
Man. My heart. I'm a asshole at times. I'm a egomaniac at times.
Yeah.
I'm a humble student at times.
Yeah.
I'm ADD AF at times. But I got a heart, man.
Yeah.
And even when I'm wrong, I am humble enough to admit that and to show up and try to do better. I love people, even my enemies. I love them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's wild, but it's my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's where I try to live. Shout out to Alex, my ex. She taught me that. She really helped me connect with that space. And the heart.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. It's beautiful because I know it's a gift and a curse, for sure. I always tell people, I've never said this on the show, but one of the ways I would sum me up, and it's getting a lot easier now, but I'm the nicest asshole you'll ever meet.
Same. Respect, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I'm the nicest asshole you'll ever meet. And it's loaded, but it's one way to look at it. But having a big heart is a gift and a curse. It's a gift for obvious reasons, but it's a curse because sometimes people can take that for granted and take advantage of you. It's a curse because sometimes you stay in situations longer than you should.
Yeah.
So I respect that answer for sure. It's beautiful. And shout out to your ex, for all the women in your life, all the women in my life too.
Yeah.
It's important that we recognize the lessons that they gave us.
Yeah. Honor them. Master teachers.
Hello.
Yeah.
So again, I told you, I learned more from my failures than all my successes. Yeah. Okay. 2 more things. First is, where can people find you?
Cool.
If there's anything you want to shout out that you're working on, that you want to announce that's coming, that's here, this is your time to shine, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, first and foremost.
Yes,
such
sir.
An honor. And thank you for listening in. I hope you remember that you are one of one, that there never has been, never will be again another you, and to celebrate all that you are. And remember that it's not you that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. So get in touch with all that you are and watch how everything changes. And then as far as connecting with me, I'm very visible on Instagram. I have a beautiful, robust community there. You can also check out my project Warrior Retreats. It's a curated 16-day rite of passage I do once a year in Peru, and it's designed to catalyze leaders. We take a journey from the Amazon all the way to the Andes. I'm also on the Nike Training Club app, NTC. It's where my yoga classes are. And also Do You Mind? And Mind is the first ever social emotional network. And I do weekly lectures on there on a wide gamut of things. But other than that, I'm here to humbly serve. And I hope any of you all who are inspired by this, reach out, share what you know as well. I'm also a humble student. So if there's something that you're intrigued by or something that you feel compelled to share, please reach out via IG and let me know. And other than that, just an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man.
Justin,
yes,
my
sir.
man. Yeah.
Of course.
Long time coming.
Of course. I'll make sure I put the Instagram there. I'll make sure I, on the show notes, website. Again, at the end of this video, I'm going to show the kind of like the about me, of Branden, so to speak. Cool. So before I let you get out of here, this is my moment to acknowledge my guest, as I always do, and take the time to give you your flowers, man, while you're here. First thing is, it's funny, actually, I saw this in your bio, and it says just committed to spreading love through your experiences, your mindset, your meditation. I definitely want to acknowledge the fact that you're so willing to give. You're willing to give your failures. You're willing to give your experiences. You're willing to give your lessons. You're willing to give your time, your energy. That's rare these days. It's extremely rare. From the moment I met you, albeit it was a FaceTime situation, you could just feel this energy. You can like a sense of calmness, so to speak. Even like Shay was like, whoa, like I'm like calm, all of a sudden, like when we hung up, and again, it's extremely needed in a time like this where we are, but also just in life in general, man. It's just needed. Proud to call you a fellow brother who is on the mission of, again, showing vulnerability, not being afraid to eat humble pie every now and then, not be afraid to continue to put in the work, to continue to try, to continue to say, you know what, I have a mission in life and nothing's going to stop me from achieving it, no matter what. That also is rare too. And so it's important to acknowledge that and recognize that. And again, as I've said before, man, I'm here when you need me in any kind of way. Something that I've been trying to implement in my life is when showing up for someone, asking them, do you need my heart? Do you need my mind? Or do you need my ears? So just know I'm always here. Shay's always here as well. And above all, man, just thank you for sharing your journey. Not just today, but you go live as well on Instagram a lot. And your posts are beautiful. Your messages are beautiful. And just your overall, what you're representing and what you're striving to be is a beautiful thing, man. So I appreciate you. Appreciate you for coming on. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. And we will definitely have to do this again. There's a lot of nuggets you threw in here that I know people wanted to go into deeper. But we'll definitely have you on again, and we'll get into it, bro.
Respect, brother.
Thank you again.
It's only the beginning.
Appreciate you, man.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I'm Branden Collinsworth, human performance coach, yoga teacher, speaker, and founder of Warrior Retreats. My journey started on the streets of East Las Vegas. For the first 18 years of my life, I was in a fight against poverty, gangs, drugs, and alcohol. It was in this battle that I discovered the power of my mind and my body, and I learned that if I really focused my energy, I could change it all. Sitting at a bus stop in 2002, I decided to go after my dreams. And as I did, the world opened up to me. Books expanded my vision. Mentors kept me on track. Travel opened my eyes to new ways of thinking. And humanitarian work taught me the power of human compassion. Through dedication, determination, and discipline, I changed my life. And now I'm blessed to be able to help others around the world unlock their highest expression as well. I truly believe in the power of people. We are infinite. We are limitless. We are pure potential. Most importantly, we are love. Every dream is possible, and it is my goal to help people remember how powerful they really are.